This is the story of Wu Fu and how he turned the tables against his cheating ex-girlfriend. After losing his life in a battle with powerful celestial beings, Wu Fu is thrust back in time to his university days, right when his life took a dark turn. Betrayed by his girlfriend and nearly beaten to death by her wealthy lover's bodyguards, his world seemed shattered. In this video, we witness how Wu Fu shatters the expectations of those who once called him trash, outsmarts his hateful and jealous ex at every turn, who relentlessly tried to tear him down, and how he gets an overpowered sword. Let's find out how it all started. Our story kicks off with our MC waking up abruptly, hand gripping the sheets, clearly disoriented. He glances around, confusion etched on his face as he processes the unfamiliar, yet oddly familiar surroundings. What's going on? I'm still alive, he mutters to himself. The MC's shock deepens as he looks around and realizes, no, this place is my university dorm. He's back in his younger days, staring at the familiar surroundings in disbelief. A rush of emotions hits him: surprise, confusion, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to rewrite his past. The MC slowly realizes that he hasn't died, but has instead been reborn. As he takes stock of his situation, he notices the numerous injuries on his body, which adds to his confusion. His shock deepens when he discovers that all his spiritual energy and thousands of years of cultivation have vanished. This loss stirs a mix of anger within him as he starts to grasp the full extent of the situation. Wu Fu recalls how he reached the Supreme Sword Venerable realm, only to be ambushed by Yunjie Ding's experts as he attempted to advance to the God King realm. The fierce battle drained his strength, leaving him filled with exhaustion and hatred as his enemies overwhelmed him. Wu Fu comes to the startling realization that the intense power of the battle likely tore through the very fabric of space, flinging him back to his days at Yunhai University. He silently vows that when the time comes to confront Yunjie Ding again, it will be the final chapter in their story. As Wu Fu processes his situation, he is suddenly interrupted by a familiar presence. The door opens to reveal a woman, her demeanor calm yet sharp as she adjusts her glasses. The sunlight streaming in highlights her composed and confident aura. She gazes at Wu Fu, slightly surprised to see him awake so soon. Her appearance suggests she knows. Wu Fu recognizes the woman as Li Meng Yao, and suddenly remembers why his body was injured at this point in time. Li Meng Yao, with a calm and detached demeanor, announces that since they've already broken up, she's returning all his belongings. She casually tosses the items he bought her back to him, signaling the cold end of their relationship, while Wu Fu begins to process the situation. Wu Fu recalls the painful memory that led to his injuries. He had gone to confront Li Mengyao about their breakup, only to be humiliated in front of a crowd. This confrontation escalated further when he inadvertently offended He Tianhao, a powerful figure. He Tianhao, knowing Wu Fu's father worked for his own father's company, used his influence to have Wu Fu's father dismissed from his job. This series of events left Wu Fu not only physically beaten, but also burdened with the fallout of his actions on his family. As Wu Fu asks her if she is done, Li Mengyao gets angry about how uncaring and calm he is. Li Mengyao confronts Wu Fu with a sharp tone, questioning his actions. She criticizes him for daring to offend someone as powerful as He Tianhao while being in such a weakened state. Her words are harsh, urging Wu Fu to take a hard look at himself and realize the gravity of his situation. Li Mengyao coldly delivers an ultimatum from He Tianhao. Wu Fu and his father must kneel and apologize if they wish to keep his father's job at the company. She reminds Wu Fu that his entire family is dependent on his father's meager income from cleaning toilets. As she speaks, Wu Fu reflects on his past feelings for her, acknowledging that he must have really liked her at one point. However, he now realizes how far removed he is from those emotions, feeling nothing but detachment as he prepares to face the present situation. Wu Fu firmly stands his ground, declaring that men don't kneel so easily and refusing to go along with He Tianhao's demands. Li Mengyao, clearly frustrated, questions why Wu Fu is still acting tough despite his vulnerable position. Wu Fu, however, remains resolute and instructs her to tell He Tianhao that he will face him whenever necessary, showing that his spirit is far from broken despite the circumstances. Li Mengyao, clearly fed up, angrily tells Wu Fu that she only came to warn him out of their past relationship, but since he refuses to heed her advice, he might as well go die. She slams the door behind her as she leaves, her frustration evident. Wu Fu, left alone, resolves that before he confronts He Tianhao, he needs to fully recover from his injuries and regain his strength. Wu Fu realizes that he still retains all the cultivation techniques in his mind. He decides that the most suitable technique for his current situation is the One Vine Hell's Qi refinement art. Confident that it's only a matter of time before he enters the Qi refinement realm, Wu Fu begins to heal his injuries using the technique, focusing on regaining his strength. As Wu Fu begins the process of healing his injuries using the cultivation technique, a powerful surge of energy manifests around him. Suddenly, a sword materializes above him, surrounded by a brilliant aura of sword qi. Shocked, Wu Fu realizes that his cultivation has not only begun healing him, but has also summoned this formidable sword qi, something far beyond his expectations. As the sword chi materializes, Wu Fu is astonished to see his star sword appear before him, surrounded by a radiant aura. He recognizes it as a divine weapon, far too powerful for his current level in the Qi refinement realm. Concerned that such a powerful weapon could attract unwanted attention from other cultivators, Wu Fu is both relieved and surprised that the sword wasn't seized by others. Suddenly, he felt like something was wrong with the sword. Wu Fu watches as his star sword shatters into pieces, leaving only the hilt intact. He realizes that the sword has suffered a severe injury, much like himself. As he begins to absorb the surrounding energy, he feels his own injuries starting to heal. With some of his strength restored, Wu Fu decides to test his current power, now aware of the immense challenge ahead. Wu Fu, determined to test his newfound strength, decides to try out his abilities in the room. As he channels his energy, his eyes glow with intense focus. He unleashes the sword chi, and the power surges around him in a fierce wave. His simple martial technique has cut through the wall with ease, leaving a deep, jagged scar. Impressed by the sharpness of the sword chi, he smirks to himself, thinking about the demands for his apology. With a sinister grin, he mutters to himself, "Apologize? I am waiting," clearly relishing the power he now wields and the upcoming confrontation with He Tianhao. In a tranquil garden, Wu Fu is perched on a tree branch, deep in meditation. His focus is intense as he channels this energy, a clear sign that he's continuing his cultivation. Leaping gracefully from the tree as powerful energy surges around him, he notices a limitation. While the spiritual energy on Earth is sufficient for him to cultivate up to the Qi refinement stage, the Qi density here is too low for him to advance any further. As Wu Fu remains hidden, a group of people arrives in the garden, calling out his name. One of them, a rather concerned-looking young man, mentions that Wu Fu often comes to this spot, but it appears that he has already left for the day. The young man suggests returning tomorrow, promising that he will definitely find Wu Fu for them. A group of rough-looking delinquents confronts Wang Meng, clearly irritated and suspecting that he's messing with them. As they grow more aggressive, Wu Fu watches from his hidden spot, recognizing Wang Meng as his old university dorm mate. He reflects on how Wang Meng was his only friend on Earth in his previous life. Wang Meng tries to reason with the delinquents, explaining that Wu Fu has just recovered from his injuries and offering to plead with Brother Hao on Wu Fu's behalf. However, the red-haired delinquent dismisses his plea, accusing Wu Fu of digging his own grave by acting tough and warning that begging won't work this time. In a sudden outburst of aggression, one of the delinquents punches Wang Meng, knocking him to the ground. The situation escalates as Wang Meng's small dog starts growling at the red-haired delinquent, trying to defend its owner. The delinquent, clearly annoyed by the dog's attitude, pulls out a weapon and mocks the dog, calling it a smug mongrel. Wang Meng, fearing for his pet's safety, pleads with the delinquent to stop, saying that it's just a harmless puppy. Wang Meng desperately tries to reason with the delinquents, warning them that Wu Fu has been bedridden for days and could die if they attack him again. However, the red-haired leader, convinced that they've been tricked, orders his men to go after Wang Meng instead. The group immediately rushes toward him, one of them grinning menacingly as he throws a punch at the defenseless Wang Meng. As the delinquent swings his fist towards Wang Meng, he's suddenly stopped in his tracks. Wu Fu intercepts the punch with a powerful grip, his sudden appearance catching the attacker completely off guard. Wu Fu swiftly counters the attack, landing a powerful kick to the delinquent's face, sending him flying through the air. The sheer force of the blow leaves the attacker bloodied and helpless as he soars backwards. Wu Fu stands firm, his fist glowing with a faint blue light, as he warns the delinquents to leave before he gets angry. Wang Meng Meng, shocked and worried about Wu Fu's sudden appearance, shouts in panic, telling him to run. But Wu Fu, calm and confident, reassures his friend that it's the delinquents who should be worried about running. Furious that Wu Fu injured his brother, one of the delinquents orders the group to attack and beat him to death. As they charge, Wang Meng Meng's panic grows, urging Wu Fu once again to flee. Yet, Wu Fu remains unfazed. As one of the delinquents rushes in with a knife intent on stabbing him, Wu Fu effortlessly catches the attacker's arm mid-strike and delivers a crushing punch to the delinquent's face, sending him sprawling to the ground, unconscious. The other delinquents are left in shock, perhaps wondering if they've stumbled into a UFC match rather than a street brawl. Wang Mengmeng can barely contain his excitement, praising Wu Fu's incredible strength. The delinquents, now realizing they've bitten off more than they can chew, regroup to launch another attack, determined to take him down. Wu Fu lands a devastating punch on one of the delinquents, sending him flying. The remaining attackers hesitate, their confidence shaken. One of them stares in disbelief as Wu Fu channels his qi, glowing with energy that clearly wasn't there just a few days ago. Wu Fu reminds them that the past is in the past, he's no longer the weakling they once knew. As Wu Fu launches his attack, the delinquent can only watch in horror. Suddenly, after the strike, the delinquent feels his hair falling. Wu Fu's precise chi attack humiliates him by cutting off a chunk of his hair. As Wang Mengmeng stifles his laughter, the delinquent is left fuming, vowing to remember this embarrassment. Wu Fu coolly reminds him that he's being let go, but even then, the delinquent is reluctant to flee. As the defeated group limps away, Wu Fu and Wang Mengmeng stand back, observing the aftermath. Just as they begin to relax, Wang Mengmeng's dog starts growling towards the woods. Suddenly, a leaf comes slicing through the air with deadly precision. Wu Fu's instincts kick in as he feels the danger approaching. The leaf, moving with alarming speed, embeds itself into a tree with enough force to splinter the wood. Narrowing his eyes, Wu Fu realizes this isn't just a random occurrence. Someone or something has targeted him. He turns around and sees a man. The mysterious man steps forward, cracking his knuckles with a calm yet intimidating presence. He calls out, reprimanding him, "Little brother, bullying the weak is not a skill." Clearly, he's ready to challenge Wu Fu to a fight. The man tells the delinquents to leave Wu Fu to him and get lost, not knowing that Wu Fu had already let them go. Wang Meng Meng can't help but notice that somehow they've ended up looking like the villains in this situation. With a calm tone, Wu Fu advises them to leave while they still can, adding that there's no shame in knowing when to walk away from a fight you can't win. Wang Meng Meng, holding the dog, urges Wu Fu to stay safe. Holding the dog, Wang Meng Meng takes his leave. The older man questions Wu Fu's decision to engage with ordinary people, implying it's beneath a cultivator like him. Wu Fu, however, smirks and clarifies that it was the others who sought him out and caused the trouble, not the other way around. The older man, confident in his chi refinement strength, questions whether someone of Wu Fu's caliber should be concerned with ordinary people. He clenches his fist, igniting it with fiery chi, and swiftly strikes at Wu Fu. With quick reflexes, Wu Fu channels a mysterious energy, sending the man reeling back. The man realizes that this is not just the power of chi refinement, it's something much greater. As the man prepares to continue the fight, he suddenly clutches his chest in pain, realizing that something is wrong internally. It's not Wu Fu causing this. Wu Fu notices the man's distress, stopping in his tracks, sensing that this unexpected turn of events might not be related to their battle. As the man feels a sudden internal pain and clutches his side, he realizes that Wu Fu isn't taking advantage of his vulnerable state to attack, leading him to think that Wu Fu might be honorable after all. Meanwhile, Wu Fu, observing the man's weakening spiritual energy, wonders if his opponent is hiding an injury, despite his cultivation being 2 realms higher. The man realizes that Wu Fu has seen through his weakened state. Before he can react, Wu Fu suddenly appears behind him and slams his hand into the man's back, causing him to cough up blood. In pain and frustration, the man curses Wu Fu as he struggles to stay on his feet. Wu Fu examines the man's condition, confirming that his meridians are indeed injured. This injury has significantly weakened him, preventing him from using his full strength. The man suddenly feels very relaxed all of a sudden. He assesses his condition, noting that most of his meridian injuries have recovered. He's surprised at the skill Wu Fu displayed despite being at a seemingly lower cultivation level. Just as he reflects on this, his subordinates arrive, calling out to him with urgency. One of the subordinates notices blood on their boss's lips and immediately jumps to the conclusion that Wu Fu is responsible. They shout for their comrades to grab Wu Fu, but Wu Fu, maintaining his composure, feigns surprise and innocence, pointing to himself and asking if they meant him. Wu Fu realizes the situation is turning against him as the subordinates begin to surround him, recognizing him as a cultivator. One of them pulls out a gun, clearly underestimating the threat that Wu Fu poses. As the subordinate fires his gun, Wu Fu's incredible speed allows him to dodge the bullet effortlessly. The shooter is left in shock, realizing that Wu Fu is not only fast, but also possesses the ability to evade gunfire, a feat that leaves him in awe and disbelief. The boss, clearly angered by the sudden gunfire, orders his subordinates to stop and get away from Wu Fu. Furious at the disobedience, he slaps one of them, demanding to know who gave the order to open fire, as Wu Fu watches the scene unfold. Realizing his mistake, the boss humbly apologizes to Wu Fu, acknowledging that he misunderstood the situation. He expresses his gratitude to Wu Fu for healing his injuries, showing a respectful gesture to emphasize his sincerity. The boss, now fully aware of the situation, expresses his gratitude to Wu Fu for healing his injuries. His subordinates are surprised by his humble demeanor. Wu Fu clarifies that he saw no malice in the boss's actions. He subtly warns that if there had been any, the situation would have ended quite differently. The boss tries to laugh off Wu Fu's comment, thinking it's a joke, but Wu Fu's serious expression quickly wipes away any humor. The boss begins to doubt what he knows about Wu Fu, realizing that there's more to him than meets the eye. He starts to question if Wu Fu really is just a simple qi refinement cultivator. The boss reveals that his daughter suffers from the same meridian blockage that has plagued him for years. He hopes Wu Fu might be able to help. However, one of the subordinates is skeptical, arguing that even a powerful Taoist couldn't cure this ailment. So, how could Wu Fu, a qi refinement cultivator, possibly succeed? The subordinate grows increasingly agitated, accusing Wu Fu of being a fraud and questioning his qualifications. The boss slaps his subordinate, demanding to know whether he thinks he's the boss. He scolds the subordinate for his growing arrogance and inability to recognize true expertise, leaving the subordinate humiliated. Meanwhile, Wu Fu stays calm and collected, only speaking up when necessary to interrupt the escalating tension. The boss apologizes to Wu Fu for his earlier outburst, trying to smooth things over after slapping his subordinate. However, Wu Fu points out that he never agreed to anything. One of the subordinates angrily lashes out at Wu Fu, calling him ungrateful. However, the boss stared at him. The subordinate, now sweating bullets, probably realizes that if he keeps mouthing off like this, he might need to start updating his resume soon. The boss changes his tone. He acknowledges Wu Fu's talents, but points out that the spiritual energy in this region is insufficient for cultivation. The boss offers Wu Fu a villa in the Tianfu housing complex, where the spiritual energy is dense and suitable for cultivation. Wu Fu acknowledges that the spiritual energy in the current area is insufficient and considers the offer, intrigued by the idea of a location with abundant energy. Meanwhile, a subordinate quietly grumbles, questioning why such a luxurious villa should be given to a mere qi refinement cultivator. The boss eagerly offers Wu Fu anything he desires in exchange for healing his daughter, emphasizing that the villa and its peaceful surroundings are just a part of the deal. Wu Fu mentions that the problem of blocked meridians isn't too difficult to handle. This brings a smile to the boss's face as he expresses his gratitude and prepares to bring his daughter to the villa for treatment. Wu Fu hands the boss a piece of paper, instructing him to call the number on it. As he walks away, the boss's subordinate can't help but threaten Wu Fu under his breath, warning that if he fails to heal the young miss, there will be consequences. Wu Fu walks back to his university dorm when his phone suddenly rings. He answers the call, asking who is on the other end, indicating that he doesn't recognize the number. Wu Fu answers the phone and immediately identifies the voice on the other end as Li Mengyao. She criticizes Wu Fu for hitting her men without apologizing, and she warns him that if he doesn't show up within 10 minutes, his dog and friend could be in danger. Wu Fu, instead of being intimidated, finds it convenient that Li Mengyao has made herself and He Hao easy to locate, as he was already looking for them. He Hao and his men are gathered at a luxurious KTV lounge together with Li Mengyao, preparing for a confrontation. One of them, holding a bat, confidently states that even if Wu Fu has an iron body, they will still cripple him after the beating. Another man, concerned about the possible mess, advises Boss Hao to stay back to avoid getting splashed by blood. In the lounge, Boss Hao, dressed in a white suit, is comfortably seated with a glass of wine, exuding confidence and relaxation. By his side is Li Mengyao, who appears equally at ease. Meanwhile, Wu Fu's friend, Meng Meng, is tied up and gagged on the floor, struggling and grunting in distress. Next to him, Wu Fu's dog is also bound, looking equally distressed, but with a hint of determination that he will be saved. Wu Fu steps into the room, calm and focused. Suddenly, a bat swings toward him with incredible speed. The impact is immediate and powerful as a loud BAM echoes through the room. Wu Fu reacts with lightning speed, blocking the bat mid-swing with his bare hand. With a swift and precise motion, Wu Fu disarms the attacker, sending him sprawling across the room with a powerful strike. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to He Tianhao and Li Mengyao, who are both taken aback by the sudden turn of events, realizing that they may have underestimated Wu Fu's abilities. Li Mengyao can't believe her eyes, pointing out that someone who was as sick as Wu Fu just yesterday shouldn't be this strong today. Wu Fu, with a calm expression, acknowledges that he was indeed bedridden yesterday, but today is a different story. One of He Tianhao's men, puzzled by Wu Fu's sudden resilience, suggests that he must be hiding something, like an iron plank, under his clothes to explain his newfound strength. Li Mengyao starts to piece things together. She assumes that Wu Fu must have made some preparations, finding it hard to believe that he could have transformed overnight without a plan. Meng Meng, bound and gagged, is moved by Wu Fu's bravery in coming to his rescue. Wu Fu checks on his dog, making sure it's unharmed, while Meng Meng watches, clearly relieved but still tied up. As Wu Fu tends to his dog, Meng Meng starts to tear up, reminding Wu Fu that he's still bound and in need of help too. Meng Meng, now freed, stands up but quickly notices something alarming. His expression shifts from relief to shock as he watches He Tianhao's subordinate approach, Wu Fu from behind, ready to strike. Just as the attacker closes in, Wu Fu senses the danger and swiftly counters with a powerful kick, sending the subordinate skidding across the room. The force of Wu Fu's strike is overwhelming, leaving the attacker incapacitated. He Tianhao, watching the scene unfold, isn't impressed by Wu Fu's display of strength. With a confident smirk, he snaps his fingers, signaling his men to step forward. As they approach, He Tianhao dismissively taunts Wu Fu, making it clear that he believes Wu Fu isn't even worthy of facing him directly. He Tianhao orders his men to subdue Wu Fu. His henchmen quickly rush toward Wu Fu, eager to carry out the command. But Wu Fu, unfazed and with a cold stare, questions their haste, hinting that they might be underestimating the situation. Wu Fu begins to gather qi, the energy swirling around him with intense force. With a swift motion, he channels the gathered qi and unleashes it toward the approaching henchmen. Wu Fu's unleashed qi cuts through the air with devastating precision, overwhelming the henchmen and stopping them in their tracks. The sheer force of the attack disrupts the surroundings, causing the men to stagger back in shock. He Tianhao, watching this unfold, is left stunned by the powerful efficiency of Wu Fu's technique. Wu Fu, standing amidst the aftermath, calmly asks if there are any more challengers. He Tianhao, now visibly shaken and out of options, nervously denies that there's anyone else. Wu Fu then turns his attention back to He Tianhao, as he suggests that it's time to settle the score between them. Meng Meng, still processing everything that's happened, wonders if this powerful figure before him is the same Wu Fu he once knew. Li Mengyao, seething with anger, mocks Wu Fu, insisting that no matter how strong he becomes, he'll always be trash. He Tianhao, caught up in her tirade, yells at her to shut up, which only enrages her further. She's furious that he would defend someone she considers worthless and, in her rage, spitefully wishes for Wu Fu to die. As Li Mengyao and He Tianhao reel back in shock, the situation gets even more humiliating when Meng Meng's dog decides it's the perfect moment to relieve itself, right on Li Mengyao's leg. The door suddenly slams open, startling Li Mengyao and He Tianhao. A new figure makes a dramatic entrance. A confident woman, clearly not one to be trifled with, steps forward, demanding to know who's causing trouble in her territory. Wu Fu and the new challenger lock eyes, each sizing the other up. As Wu Fu focuses, he notices her qi weapon, tiny and unimpressive, almost laughably weak. He can't help but stifle a small laugh, amused by how cute it is. As Wu Fu chuckles to himself, the girl notices something significant. His sword chi is broken and severely damaged. She can't believe that someone with such a ruined manifestation would dare to cause trouble in her territory. The girl confidently mocks Wu Fu, dismissing him as a mere brat, daring to make noise in her territory, thinking this will be an easy victory. However, as He Tianhao nervously informs her that Wu Fu is the one who single-handedly took down all the guards, confusion begins to spread across her face. Just when things couldn't get any weirder, Meng Meng's dog decides to make his own mark on the situation by humping the girl's leg. Caught completely off guard, her face turns red with a mix of embarrassment and fury. Fueled by anger, she powers up, her energy so intense that it cracks the ground beneath her. She launches herself at Wu Fu with incredible speed, her attack coming in fast and fierce. Wu Fu is momentarily taken aback. Wu Fu braces himself as the girl's attack blazes through the air. The girl's fiery attack strikes Wu Fu head on, but he manages to block it just in time. Wu Fu is slammed into the wall, which shatters from the intensity. Wu Fu struggles to block the powerful attack, feeling the weight of their difference in strength. He Tianhao and Li Mengyao watch in disbelief, surprised by Wu Fu's sudden surge of power. As Wu Fu braces himself, the girl launches another attack, determined to break his defense and questioning if he's already given up resisting. As the girl lunges forward with a powerful kick aimed directly at Wu Fu, he assesses her abilities, recognizing her talent. However, just as the kick is about to connect, Wu Fu told her that he can see her weakness. Suddenly, a loud slapping sound is heard. He Tianhao and Li Mengyao shiver in fear from what he has just done. Wu Fu doesn't look like he cares. Meng Meng said that he has now done it. He is definitely finished. The girl, now visibly frustrated and angry, it turns out the weakness Wu Fu was talking about was her behind. He slapped her butt really hard. Her face flushed with embarrassment and anger, the girl accuses Wu Fu of being not just a rascal but a pervert as well. She gathers her strength, ready to land a powerful blow. But when she finally strikes, instead of a devastating hit, her punch lands softly on Wu Fu. The girl is suddenly shocked as she realizes that she can't use her spiritual energy anymore. She wonders if it has something to do with what just happened. Wu Fu, on the other hand, has no time for her confusion and prepares to strike with his own powerful, glowing fist, ready to end the fight with a decisive blow. The girl angrily calls Wu Fu shameless and demands he release her spiritual energy if he dares. But Wu Fu casually pats her on the head like a child, agreeing with her demand, but only later, not now. As Wu Fu advances toward He Tianhao and Li Mengyao, He Tianhao, feeling the pressure, demands to know what Wu Fu wants. Before Wu Fu can respond, the girl he just fought steps in front of him, warning him not to cause trouble, especially in her territory. She firmly states that disturbances are against the rules in her domain. Unfazed, Wu Fu calmly questions what she means by disturbance, and suggests that the 3 guards he defeated could better explain who has been causing the trouble. Under pressure, one of the henchmen hesitantly confesses that it was He Tianhao who ordered the attack. Realizing she had been deceived, the girl angrily confronts He Tianhao for lying to her. Wu Fu suggests an apology is in order. He Tianhao arrogantly refuses, mocking Wu Fu and scoffing at the idea. However, Wu Fu, still composed, swiftly delivers a powerful slap across He Tianhao's face, leaving him stunned. In disbelief and fury, He Tianhao exclaims that Wu Fu dared to hit him, threatening dire consequences. Before he can finish, Wu Fu slaps him again, cutting off his rant. Wu Fu calmly tells He Tianhao that if he wants revenge, he can find him anytime, but first, he must apologize. The girl demands that He Tianhao apologize, reminding him that he caused trouble in the Shu family's territory. Under intense pressure, He Tianhao begrudgingly offers an apology, though it's clear it's reluctant. Wu Fu then dismisses him, showing no tolerance for further nonsense. Visibly upset, He Tianhao storms away, with Li Mengyao following, asking if he's all right. Still simmering with anger, He Tianhao pushes her away, harshly telling her to leave him alone. Frustrated and desperate, Li Mengyao thinks about how difficult it was to find a wealthy and influential man like He Tianhao. Her anger intensifies as she vows to make Wu Fu pay for disrupting her plans. Meanwhile, Wu Fu sneezes unexpectedly, casually rubbing his nose, seemingly unconcerned about what just transpired. He nonchalantly waves goodbye to the girl, calling her Hammer Girl because of her chi weapon, and reminds her that they still have class before leaving the room. As he walks away, the girl realizes that Wu Fu hasn't lifted the seal he placed on her, which is preventing her from using her spiritual energy. She begins to feel her power slowly returning and watches him leave, puzzled by his apparent strength. She wonders if he is truly only at the chi refinement realm, given his ability to suppress her so easily. Recalling the embarrassing moment when Wu Fu playfully slapped her on the rear, her face flushes with a mix of anger and embarrassment. Meanwhile, Hetian Hao, still reeling from his encounter with Wu Fu, enters a room where his underlings immediately notice his bruises. They quickly question him about who dared to lay a hand on him, with a particularly fierce-looking subordinate, Brother Biao, stepping forward. Determined to reclaim his dignity, Hetian Hao asks Brother Biao to help him teach someone a painful lesson. Brother Biao, astonished, questions who would dare to bully Hetian Hao, especially given his formidable brother, Heitian Gang. Hetian Hao insists that Wu Fu is a nobody with no background, likely unaware of who he crossed. Frustration and anger are evident as Hetian demands that Brother Biao make Wu Fu suffer, ensuring he understands the consequences of crossing him. The scene shifts to a quiet and seemingly ordinary university where Wu Fu attends classes. As he walks through the hallways with a calm and composed demeanor, a few students are scattered about, some casually chatting, while others seem lost in thought. Wu Fu steps into the classroom, his presence going mostly unnoticed by his classmates. As he sits down, he reflects inwardly, reminding himself that his true enemies are ancient beings, and he must remain calm and patient in his path of cultivation. However, his presence doesn't go entirely unnoticed. A group of students confronts him, questioning his audacity to attend school after the recent events. Wu Fu calmly asserts that he is still a student and, naturally, should be in class. The atmosphere in the classroom becomes tense as the students warn him that he has crossed a line by offending Brother Tianwu, a well-known member of the basketball club. They try to intimidate Wu Fu, pointing out the potential consequences of his actions. Meanwhile, another student observes with frustration, noting that ever since Wu Fu showed up, there has been nothing but trouble in their class. Wu Fu remains composed as his classmates confront him about the consequences of his recent actions. When he asks what those consequences might be, the lead student smugly declares that Wu Fu and his entire class will be forced to compete against the school's basketball club. One of Wu Fu's classmates expresses frustration, questioning why Wu Fu involved them in his conflict with He Tianwu. Another student mocks Wu Fu, comparing his efforts to a mouse trying to smash a pot of porridge. The tension escalates as one student suggests that Wu Fu could prevent his classmates from being implicated by refusing the challenge. Yet the basketball club taunts him, daring him to accept the challenge, with one even questioning his bravery. Unfazed, Wu Fu confidently declares that basketball is very easy for him, signaling his readiness to take them on. One of the basketball players smirks and lays down the stakes. If Wu Fu's team loses, they must call the victor's father, in accordance with the old rules. Wu Fu coolly asks what happens if they lose. The player and his teammates laugh arrogantly, confident that they won't face defeat. However, they agree that if by some chance they do lose, they will follow the same rule and call Wu Fu father. As news spreads that Wu Fu has offended He Tianwu and is now being challenged by the basketball club, students start gathering to witness the impending match. Meanwhile, Meng Meng expresses doubt, suggesting they could simply admit defeat to avoid further humiliation. However, Wu Fu remains resolute, stating that the outcome is still uncertain and urging them not to give up too soon. As the basketball match draws closer, some spectators mockingly doubt Wu Fu's team's chances, dismissing them as a fat man and two dwarfs. Meanwhile, Zhou Shun, the president of the basketball club and the son of a school manager, makes his presence known. His popularity is evident as students chant his name, with one girl even calling him the man of her dreams. Confidently, Zhou Shun warns Wu Fu that he will lose badly, urging him to remember the name Zhou Shun as the crowd continues to fawn over him. The tension rises among the spectators. Some note that Zhou Shun, a close friend of He Tianwu, is now pitted against Wu Fu, who has offended both of them, leading many to believe this will end in Wu Fu's expulsion from school. As both teams take their positions, the rules are announced. The game will last for 30 minutes, and the team with the most points will win. The referee blows the whistle, and the ball is tossed into play. The game kicks off with Zhou Shun swiftly taking control of the ball and going for a layup. He confidently leaps toward the basket, and with a swift, precise move, the ball sails smoothly through the hoop. His skillful play demonstrates his prowess on the court. Zhou Shun's successful three-point shot quickly puts his team in the lead, with the score now 3-0. The crowd chants his name, boosting his confidence. Meanwhile, Meng Meng expresses his frustration to Wu Fu, pointing out that the game feels rigged from the start. with the referee seemingly favoring Zhou Shun by giving him the ball. But Wu Fu remains calm, noting that the game has just begun. With a sharp and focused gaze, Wu Fu surveys the court as the opposing team charges toward him. Zhou Shun drives the ball forward with his teammates backing him up. As Zhou Shun drives hard toward the basket, Wu Fu anticipates his move and steps in to stop him. Zhou Shun tries to maneuver around Wu Fu but quickly realizes he's in trouble. Wu Fu intercepts the ball, knocking it away from Zhou Shun's grasp, shifting the momentum of the game. Zhou Shun is taken aback by Wu Fu's sudden burst of speed, realizing just how fast he is. In a panic, Zhou Shun shouts for his teammates to stop Wu Fu as he races down the court with the ball. Wu Fu expertly maneuvers past the opposing players, keeping the ball close as he evades their attempts to stop him. With remarkable agility, he leaps into the air, completely outmaneuvering his defenders. In a powerful and decisive move, Wu Fu executes a powerful dunk, leaving the spectators in awe. The crowd watches in disbelief, amazed by his sudden burst of speed and skill. Wu Fu continues to dominate the game, sinking shot after shot with precision. His exceptional performance on the court puts his team in the lead, with the score now at 2017. As the opposing team gets the ball, Zhou Shun, now frustrated and under pressure, makes a desperate attempt to regain control of the game, cursing under his breath as he tries to keep up. Determined to close the gap, Zhou Shun confidently takes his shot, thinking to himself that even from this position, he can still score. However, just as the ball leaves his hand, Wu Fu leaps into the air and blocks the shot, leaving the onlookers in awe as they repeatedly murmur in amazement at his skill. The spectators are in disbelief, astonished that the highly regarded basketball club is being thoroughly defeated. Zhou Shun, realizing the hidden strength of his opponent, is taken aback but quickly reassesses the situation. He exchanges a glance with another opponent in a blue shirt, subtly signaling him to betray Wu Fu. The other guy nods, showing that he has secretly switched sides. Zhou Shun, calculating his next move, thinks himself, 2 versus 8, you will still be a loser, clearly confident in the overwhelming odds against Wu Fu. As the game continues, Wu Fu throws the ball to his teammate in the blue shirt. However, in a shocking twist, the blue-shirted player intentionally steps aside, allowing the red-shirted opponent to intercept the ball, betraying Wu Fu in the process. The red-shirted player quickly throws the ball to Zhou Shun. Wu Fu, now realizing the betrayal and the strategy unfolding against him, starts to react, but it's clear the opposing team is coordinating their moves to outmaneuver him. Zhou Shun, now in possession of the ball, takes the shot with precision, sending it toward the basket. The ball arcs through the air and successfully sinks into the hoop, scoring a point. Meanwhile, Wu Fu, observing the play, begins to piece together the strategy and intentions behind his opponent's actions. Zhou Shun, now firmly in control, challenges Wu Fu to show his skills, confident that the odds are stacked against him. Spectators on the sidelines comment on the hopeless situation, noting the overwhelming numbers against Wu Fu. The game continues with blatant cheating from the opposing team, making it clear that they're determined to secure a win by any means necessary. As the game progresses, the entire opposing team surrounds Wu Fu, trying to trap him with their superior numbers. Zhou Shun mocks Wu Fu, making it clear that he still believes he has the upper hand in this game. Zhou Shun confidently moves forward with the ball. He swiftly runs past Wu Fu with the help of the blue-shirted player who blocks Wu Fu's path. However, Wu Fu manages to slip past the blue-shirted player, quickly recovering from the setback. Zhou Shun, having successfully bypassed Wu Fu, drives towards the basket with determination. He skillfully maneuvers into position and takes his shot, aiming to score. The ball arcs towards the hoop as Zhou Shun looks confident that he's about to make the shot. As Zhou Shun confidently goes for the shot, Wu Fu swiftly intervenes, leaping into the air to block him. The two are now face to face. Wu Fu swiftly intercepts Zhou Shun, taking possession of the ball with lightning speed. Zhou Shun is left in shock, realizing that Wu Fu has suddenly appeared in front of him. Wu Fu, after outmaneuvering Zhou Shun, calmly takes his shot. The ball soars through the air in a perfect arc, heading straight for the basket. The shot is flawless, and the ball sinks into the hoop, scoring the point. The crowd is in shock and disbelief as Wu Fu's incredible long-range shot scores, turning the tide of the game. Spectators react with amazement, unable to believe what they've just witnessed. Zhou Shun is particularly stunned, struggling to process how Wu Fu managed to make such an impressive shot. The score is updated, showing Wu Fu's team taking the lead. As the game intensifies, Zhou Shun commands three of his teammates to block Wu Fu, determined to prevent him from making any more plays. However, Wu Fu, with a confident smirk, challenges them, questioning whether they truly believe they can stop him. The crowd is in a frenzy, shouting encouragement for Wu Fu, desperate for him to make a move and change the outcome of the game. Wu Fu, with sheer determination, is rapidly catching up, closing the distance with incredible speed. However, Zhou Zhun, with a calm and focused demeanor, is already poised to take the shot, confident that it's too late for Wu Fu to stop him. Wu Fu, moving with lightning speed, suddenly slaps the ball out of Zhou Shun's hands just as he was about to take the shot. Zhou Shun, caught completely off guard, looks on in shock as the ball is sent flying out of his control. The crowd erupts in cheers, urging Wu Fu on as he makes a spectacular recovery. He quickly catches the ball after his successful block, and without wasting a moment, he positions himself for a powerful throw across the court. The tension is palpable as the ball soars through the air, heading towards the basket. As it swishes through the net, the crowd erupts in cheers, celebrating the incredible shot. The scoreboard now reflects Wu Fu's success, leading to surprised murmurs among the spectators. They begin to question how a player they previously dismissed as a waste could be so powerful, wondering aloud if two players really could beat a team of 8. Zhou Shun, clearly enraged by his loss, clenches his fists in frustration, vowing to make Wu Fu pay for the humiliation he feels. Zhou Shun's teammate in the blue shirt suggests that they should just leave, trying to defuse the situation. However, Meng Meng steps in, reminding them of the deal they made before the game. He asks if they plan to walk away without fulfilling their end of the bargain. One of Zhou Shun's men taunts Wu Fu, questioning if he's looking to stir up more trouble by demanding Zhou Shun to call him father, as per the deal. Wu Fu, unfazed, responds with a sharp retort, stating that he doesn't recognize an unfilial son. Zhou Shun's crew loses their temper, yelling at Wu Fu and accusing him of looking for death. The confrontation quickly turns physical as one of Zhou Shun's men throws a powerful punch. However, Wu Fu deftly dodges the attack with impressive speed, swiftly countering the assault. Wu Fu delivers a powerful kick to his opponent's chin, the impact of which is explosive. Wu Fu's kick sends the red-shirted opponent crashing into his comrades, knocking them all down like dominoes. The sheer force of the impact leaves the crowd stunned, with some spectators initially mistaking the scene for a fight. Zhou Shun, who witnessed the event, clenches his jaw in frustration, realizing the overwhelming strength of Wu Fu's counterattack. Wu Fu quickly approaches Zhou Shun with surprising speed, closing the distance between them almost instantly. Zhou Shun, realizing he can't escape, tries to retreat, but Wu Fu effortlessly catches up to him, grabbing his arm and preventing him from getting away. Wu Fu calmly reminds Zhou Shun about the bet, stating that running away after losing isn't an option. The strength in Wu Fu's grip leaves Zhou Shun stunned, realizing just how powerful Wu Fu truly is. Wu Fu tightens his grip, causing Zhou Shun to wince in pain. The crowd around them starts to chant, urging Zhou Shun to fulfill the bet and call Wu Fu father. Zhou Shun struggles to endure the pain, seething with anger and vowing that Wu Fu will regret this. Wu Fu tightens his grip even further, causing Zhou Shun to cry out in pain. With a cold, determined look, Wu Fu asks calmly, "Are you ready to call me your father?" Through gritted teeth, with a voice filled with anger and humiliation, Zhou Shun calls out, "Father!" The words echo in the air, marking his defeat and the completion of the bet. As Wu Fu releases him and begins to walk away, he makes it clear that he considers Zhou Shun a useless son. Zhou Shun, overwhelmed by the shame, kneels on the ground, unable to fight back or even respond. Meng Meng approaches, expressing concern about the connections Tianwu and Zhou have at school, advising Wu Fu to be cautious of their potential revenge. Wu Fu, however, remains calm and resolute, showing no fear of any retribution. Later, it seems Wu Fu is back in a more private space, possibly his room, where he begins to channel his energy, surrounded by a glowing aura. His dog looks on with a puzzled expression as Wu Fu continues his meditation. He focuses on the principles of nine meditation, a technique divided into 3 types that correspond to different levels of mastery within the gasification environments. His concentration deepens as he realizes the importance of finding a location with a strong aura to successfully break through the initial stage of refining. Wu Fu is interrupted by Meng Meng, who eagerly announces an upcoming outdoor camp organized by their class. The camp is set near Tianfu Haoyuan, a picturesque location surrounded by mountains and water, offering a perfect environment for relaxation. Meng Meng tries to entice Wu Fu further by mentioning that the camp will feature beautiful women. Wu Fu's interest is piqued when Meng Meng mentions Tianfu Haoyuan. Meng Meng explains that Tianfu Haoyuan is a popular gathering place for the wealthy people of Yunhai City, making it a famous and desirable location. As Meng Meng continues to talk, Wu Fu becomes more thoughtful, realizing that this place might offer the strong aura he needs to break through the initial stage of his refining process. The idea of utilizing this trip for his cultivation starts to form in Wu Fu's mind. After considering the benefits, Wu Fu decisively agrees to join the camp, seeing it as an opportunity to further his cultivation. Meng Meng is thrilled at Wu Fu's decision and eagerly offers to handle the registration. Wu Fu, with a subtle smile, acknowledges Meng Meng's enthusiasm and mentions that he has some business to attend to at the camp. The following day, the class sets off on their camping trip. The bus winds through the scenic mountain roads, surrounded by lush greenery and the serenity of nature. Tensions rise on the bus as students gossip about Wu Fu and Meng Meng joining the trip. Meng Yao dismisses her ex-boyfriend Wu Fu, who apparently offended Hedian Hao and beat Zhou Shun, as someone unworthy of her. Wu Fu tells Meng Meng to ignore them. Meng Yao silently vows that Hedian Hao will make Wu Fu suffer greatly during the trip. As the bus passes by a luxurious mansion in Yunhai City, the students are in awe of its grandeur. Wu Fu, however, calmly asks the driver to stop the bus, signaling that he intends to get off. As Wu Fu prepares to get off the bus, Meng Meng reminds him that they haven't reached their destination yet. Wu Fu explains that a friend has asked him to stop by Tianfu Haoyuan first and tells them to go ahead without him, promising to catch up later. Meanwhile, others on the bus laugh, and Meng Yao dismissively comments that Wu Fu likes to act tough, even though she believes he is a nobody. As Wu Fu steps off the bus, one of the students mocks Meng Meng, saying his friend likes to act tough. Another student warns Wu Fu not to get lost on his way to Tianfu Haoyuan, implying it's far from the camp. Meng Meng, irritated by their remarks, thinks to himself about how those dog eyes always look down on others, clearly frustrated with their attitudes. Wu Fu receives a call from Shu Yin Shan, the boss he previously met. Answering the phone, Wu Fu simply states, "I'm here." On the other end, Shu Yin Shan acknowledges his arrival and mentions that his daughter has been waiting, indicating that he will go to welcome him. Wu Fu follows the guide into the mansion, immediately sensing the thick spiritual energy in the area. He realizes that the concentration of this energy is perfect for his training needs. As Wu Fu enters the mansion, he is introduced to the man's daughter. To his surprise, she is the same girl who had earlier accused him of being a pervert. Recognizing him immediately, she exclaims in shock, questioning how it could be him. Wu Fu remains calm, though slightly annoyed by the unexpected reunion. As Wu Fu and the girl stare at each other, she wonders if he is the master her father has been talking about, while Wu Fu acknowledges that she must be the person Shu Yin Shan mentioned. Wu Fu tells her not to look for anyone else, confirming that he is indeed the one she's looking for. As Wu Fu calmly states that he's here to cure her, the girl puts up her guard, questioning how a mere cultivator at the Qi realm could possibly cure her. Her father insists that Wu Fu's abilities are far beyond what they seem, warning her not to judge a book by its cover. A subordinate informs Shu Yin Shan that the medicinal ingredients have been prepared. Shu Yin Shan tells Wu Fu that he went ahead and prepared some medicinal ingredients, even though Wu Fu hadn't asked for them. Wu Fu acknowledges the cultivation materials Shu Yin Shan prepared, noting their high quality. The daughter, however, remains doubtful and accuses Wu Fu of being both a pervert and a fraud, daring him to prove he can actually cure her. Wu Fu clarifies that they aren't needed to treat Su Yinshan's daughter, as her condition is not serious. Su Yinshan's daughter remains skeptical of Wu Fu's abilities, pointing out that even a grandmaster hired by her grandfather couldn't cure her. She criticizes Wu Fu for being overly confident despite being just a Qi realm cultivator. Meanwhile, one of Shu Yinshan's men warns him, suggesting that Wu Fu might be a con man trying to deceive them. Shu Yinshan begins to question whether his healing during his fight with Wu Fu was merely a coincidence. Meanwhile, Wu Fu calmly assesses the condition of Shu Yinshan's daughter, noting that her meridians have been blocked for many years, a problem that not a primordial spirit grandmaster or an expert could solve. As Wu Fu begins his treatment, he reveals his true strength, stating that he is not just any cultivator, but a divine retribution venerable expert. The power of his cultivation is visually overwhelming as energy surges through the air, and he touches her chest while pumping qi into it. The treatment causes a visible and intense reaction in Shu Yinshan's daughter's face. Shu Yinshan, witnessing the intense effects on his daughter, Qing Qing, becomes enraged. His anger fuels a fierce aura, signaling that he is ready to attack if necessary. Meanwhile, his subordinate, gun in hand, threatens Wu Fu, perceiving this as an overstep or a direct threat to Qing Qing's life. Shu Yinshan's voice cuts through the tension, sharp and demanding. Just what are you planning? Qing Qing suddenly begins to cough violently, a bit of blood spilling from her mouth, blocking her throat. But as the episode subsides, something incredible happens. She feels a rapid surge in her spiritual energy, rising at an astonishing pace. The realization hits her hard, and with a mix of disbelief and excitement, she exclaims, "No way, I have healed." Her voice trembles, heavy with the weight of years of frustration, now replaced by pure, overwhelming happiness. After witnessing Wu Fu successfully treat his daughter, Shu Yinshan is struck with a deep sense of respect. He immediately orders his men to lower their weapons, realizing the grave mistake they had made earlier. Acknowledging Wu Fu's incredible capabilities, Shu Yinshan inquires about his master, assuming that such extraordinary skills must have been taught by someone immensely powerful. Wu Fu, reflecting on his past life, remembers how his master saved him when his life was in dire danger. He then cryptically adds that his master has not yet come to Earth, leaving Shan and his daughter puzzled. Shan laughs awkwardly, admitting that Wu Fu doesn't need to explain if he doesn't want to. Qing King, holding up the dog, jokingly suggests that if Wu Fu's master isn't on Earth, perhaps he's an alien. Shan hands over the keys to the house as promised, telling Wu Fu that if he ever faces any issues, he can seek him out since he still has connections in Yunhai City. Qing Qing, however, expresses her fondness for the house, suggesting that if her father wants to give something away, he should consider giving away other properties instead. Her father gently scolds her for being immature. The scene transitions to Tianfu Haoyuan Country Parks, where two young women are laughing and enjoying themselves. Watching them from a bench, Meng Meng chuckles to himself, thinking about how wonderful it is to be young. As Meng Meng continues to sit on the bench, two girls notice him staring at them. Feeling uncomfortable, one of them asks if the fatty is staring directly at them. They quickly decide to leave, feeling uneasy under his gaze. Meanwhile, Meng Meng, lost in his own thoughts, suddenly realizes that Brother Fu is late and starts to worry if he might have gotten lost. As Meng Meng sits on the bench, he suddenly notices Xiao Ha, his dog, causing a bit of trouble by licking someone and knocking over their belongings. As Xiaoha realizes the commotion he's caused, he starts to run away, with an angry girl chasing after him. Xiaoha dashes towards Wu Fu, seeking refuge after causing trouble. Wu Fu picks him up and immediately apologizes to the girl, offering to pay for anything Xiaoha has damaged. The girl, still angry, tells him that the items Xiaoha broke are so expensive that even if she sold him, it wouldn't be enough to cover the cost. The girls mockingly suggest that Wu Fu must be a rich man since he has a friend living in Tianfu Haoyuan, sarcastically implying that he wouldn't care about such trivial expenses. Their tone makes it clear they don't believe it, with some even speculating that he's just pretending to be wealthy by hanging around the area. As the girls continue to mock him, suggesting that Wu Fu might just be acting tough, Wu Fu casually starts helping himself to the food on the table. Meng Meng, feeling responsible for Xiaoha's earlier misbehavior, steps forward to apologize for the dog's actions. Wu Fu dismisses the situation, saying there's no need for further apology, as he's already apologized. Wu Fu calmly pulls out a stack of cash and asks if it's enough to cover the damages caused by Xiaoha. Upon seeing Wu Fu's actions, the crowd begins to speculate about his true wealth. While some are shocked and question whether he's truly rich, others, like Meng Yao, hold on to their doubts, convinced that he's just pretending to be someone he's not. Meng Yao dismissively tells the others to keep the money, eager to see how Wu Fu will manage without it, believing he's merely a poor imitator trying to appear tough. Wu Fu, after hearing what Meng Yao said, turned his focus directly to her. Without warning, he suddenly closes the distance between them, his gaze intense and unyielding. Meng Yao, clearly startled by his sudden approach, reacts nervously, unsure of what he intends. Wu Fu leans in close, his voice low and menacing as he whispers to Meng Yao, warning her that crossing him will not only lead to her downfall but also to the ruin of Hetian Hao. He sternly advises Meng Yao to watch her words. Meng Yao, taken aback but still defiant, tries to counter by promising that his arrogance will soon be crushed. As the weather takes a sudden turn, it looks like rain is on the way. Someone in the group comments on how unfortunate it is for the rain to start now, especially since the bus won't arrive until tomorrow morning. Meng Yao decides to take action and calls He Tianhao, asking him to come and pick them up before the rain hits. Meng Yao asserts that He Tianhao will arrive shortly with his car, though she mentions she can only take a few people with her. In contrast, Wu Fu offers a more inclusive solution, suggesting that everyone is welcome to seek shelter at his home in Tianfu Haoyuan if they don't mind. Meng Yao and the others laugh mockingly at the idea of Wu Fu owning a house at Tianfu Haoyuan, treating it as an absurd joke. Meng Yao even claims she would die of shock if it were true. Wu Fu, however, calmly confirms that he does indeed have the house, stating that people are welcome to come if they wish, but it doesn't bother him if they don't. As the clouds gather, hinting at the approaching rain, Meng Yao suggests they should go and see the house Wu Fu claimed to own at Tianfu Haoyuan. With nothing to lose, the group decides to follow her lead, just in case Wu Fu's bold claim turns out to be real. Moments later, they arrive at the grand entrance of his mansion in Tianfu Haoyuan, leaving everyone on edge with anticipation. As they approach the entrance, the guards came into view, causing a wave of anxiety among the group. Meng Yao couldn't resist taunting, confident that Wu Fu was about to embarrass himself. The others began to murmur, questioning whether it was wise to continue this farce, and some even suggested turning back. But Wu Fu, unfazed, simply asked, "Go back? Where to?" As they neared the entrance, the atmosphere grew tense, with anticipation hanging in the air. Suddenly, the guards recognized Wu Fu, addressing him respectfully as Mr. Wu. The group was stunned, jaws dropping in disbelief. Meng Yao, in particular, was shaken, struggling to comprehend how this could be happening. The guards then ushered them inside with the utmost courtesy, leaving everyone who had been mocking Wu Fu moments earlier utterly speechless. As they approached the mansion, Meng Meng couldn't hide his admiration, quietly exclaiming how amazing Wu Fu was for having such a grand place. As the group entered the mansion, awe and disbelief hung in the air. Meng Yao's frustration boiled over as she recalled how Wu Fu had once seemed like nothing more than a destitute, insignificant man. Yet here he was, the owner of a grand mansion, a reality she could never have imagined. Wu Fu calmly instructed everyone to enter, but just as they were about to proceed, he paused. The guard turned to him, asking if there was anything specific he wanted. Wu Fu pointed directly at Meng Yao, making it clear that while the rest of the group was welcome, she was not. His decisive gesture left her stunned. As Meng Yao was being escorted out, her emotions boiled over. She lashed out, cursing Wu Fu for not letting her in. As the rain poured down, she muttered that Wu Fu had changed and that the two of them were no longer on the same level, perhaps hinting at her realization of the gap that had grown between them. Fuming with rage, Meng Yao paced back and forth in the pouring rain. Just then, a sleek car pulled up. It was He Tianhao. Meng Yao immediately rushed to him and got inside, demanding action against Wu Fu. Tianhao, with a calm but menacing demeanor, assured her that he was more than prepared to handle Wu Fu. Wu Fu must have been eager to meet his end after daring to strike someone as flawless as me, he said with a cold smile. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, then please comment part 2 down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to us.